All right. Back with another ancient Near Eastern deity video. We are going to do the goddess Manzat now. Um, so the goddess Manzat is most likely um, the goddess of rainbows. So she's the goddess of the rainbow. Very interesting. So let's check her out. There seems to be some uncertainty whether she's originally from Mesopotamia or from the Elamites, from the Elamite areas. Um, so Manzat is also spelled Mazat, and sometimes known by the Sumerian name Tirana. Um, she was a Mesopotamian and Elamite goddess representing the rainbow. She was also believed to be responsible for the prosperity of cities. So, she's a celestial goddess. Um, there's a single text where supposedly the moon god Sin and the goddess Ningal, which is Sin's consort, were her parents. Are her parents? So sibling would be like the sun god Shamash, and like her spouse. Her spouse was the Elamite god Simat or Shemat, which we will also do a video on sometime soon. But I wanted to do Manzat first. In Elam, Manzat was worshipped in the lowlands, in the proximity of Susa, the city of Susa, especially in the area known as Hubshen, associated with the archaeological sites De now and Tepe Horii. While in Mesopotamia, she was associated with the city of Dur. Though there is also evidence that she was venerated in Nippur, Larsa, and other cities. Manzat's name is an ordinary Akkadian noun that means, and it means the rainbow, though the word's precise etymology is uncertain. A Sumerian form of this goddess's name is called Tirana, which means the bow of heaven. But it was most likely an artificial construct, as the sign Tyr generally stands for the Sumerian word Kishtu, which means forest. Which only acquired the additional meaning bow due to the similarity to the Akkadian word Kashtu, which does mean bow. Oh, okay. Tirana is listed as an alternative name of Manzat in the Weidner list and in An equals Anum. So those are both deity lists there. The writing Tir.an.na was also used in the offering lists of the first Sealand dynasty. That is the second dynasty of Babylon. That was early on. That was 1732 to 1460 BC. Okay. And sometimes in the writing of theophoric names elsewhere, to logographically represent the theonym Manzat. So it is generally assumed that Manzat had Akkadian origin, but it's possible that she originated in Elam. Now, Elam, of course, is not in Iraq or Mesopotamia. It was in more like in Iran, the Iranian territory, um, like that area. Um, as the earliest texts indicating she was worshipped in Mesopotamia were initially incorrectly dated to the Akkadian period, but were subsequently discovered to be from the Ur-3 period. Okay. As such, they are more recent than the mention of this goddess in a treaty between the Akkadian Empire and an unspecified Elamite kingdom. An unspecified one. Okay. And it is therefore possible that Manzat appears there as an Elamite rather than Mesopotamian goddess. However, the gods invoked in it are not exclusively Elamite, as indicated by the presence of Ilaba, Ishara, Ninkarak, and Ninurta. Yeah, those are all Akkadian. Well, Mesopotamian. And, yeah. Additionally, according to, let's see, Tanya Charlach, there is presently no evidence for the introduction of any Elamite deities in the archives of the third dynasty of Ur. However, some argue that the goddess Pinakir, who's an Elamite astral goddess, was received by the Hurrians from a Mesopotamian intermediary in the late 3rd millennium BC. All right, so her character, Manzat's character, as a representation of the rainbow, Manzat was a celestial deity. Her epithets, or alternative names attested in Mesopotamian texts include Ningishirana, which means Lady of Regulations of the Heavens, or of Heaven. Tabana, Companion of Heaven. Uru al-Shara, She who makes the city flourish. While the Elamite king Hutelu Tush in Shushanak addressed her as Zana Rishari, which means great lady. Okay. Based on the last of the Mesopotamian epithets and their shared association with the god Semut, it is assumed that Manzat is the same deity as Belet Ali, which means Lady of the City, and that she was believed to be responsible for the well-being of cities. So, if they're the same deity, then she's not just a goddess of the rainbow, but also of, like, the city's prosperity. A single text refers to the claws of Manzat. Huh. Okay. So, okay. So next we have the star Tirana. So let's see here about this. It is possible Manzat shared her name with a star, which is called Tir.on.na, though Wilfred Lambert pointed out only the logographic Sumerian writing of the name, rather than the syllabic Akkadian and Elamite one, was used to refer to this celestial body, indicating that the star's name was Tirana, perhaps meant to be understood as the bow star, rather than rainbow in this case. According to Jeremy Black and Anthony Green, who, unlike Lambert, Black and Green are good. They're good scholars, by the way, good authors on Mesopotamian religion. who, unlike Lambert, identify it simply as Manzat. This star was represented as a horse head surrounded by a so-called gate on Kuduru. Kuduru is like a type of stone document used as a boundary stone, and as a record of like land grants to vassals. All right, well, however, Ursula Seed, in her study on Kuduru iconography, concludes the horse head symbol should be connected to an unidentified, possibly non-Mesopotamian local deity worshipped by highland communities in the proximity of modern Kirkuk. Okay. That's in northern Iraq. Talay, is that Ornan? Ornan proposes it was a Kassite symbol. Maurits van Loon does propose that gate symbols in art represent the rainbow, but he explicitly states that his theory is not linked to Manzat, but rather to the rain goddess Shala. He points out that the temple of Shala and Adad at Chogo Zanbil was adjacent to that of Manzat. Now, Chogo Zanbil, of course, is a famous Elamite complex temple. It was so. He considers it a possibility that figures of naked women cupping their breasts found at this site might represent a weather goddess, whether Shala or Manzat, and their jewelry, the rainbow. I don't know. There is a figure here. I can put it in the thumbnail for Manzat. Well, very possible. Well, that actually, those figures, I don't know if they're actually deity, goddesses. They just look like women, but, I mean, you never know with that. Theophoric names attesting the worship of Manzat are known from both Elam and Mesopotamia. Examples include Manzat Ili, Manzat, which means Manzat is my god or goddess, Manzat Umi, or Umi, Manzat is my mother. There's, let's see, Manzat Rabat, Manzat is great, and some others. So evidence for the worship of Manzat in Mesopotamia is relatively scarce. The earliest attestation of it are Akkadian personal names from the Ur III period, Gursu, city of Gursu. She was also venerated in Larsa in the Old Babylonian period. Later, she was among the deities worshipped in the territory of the first dynasty of Sealand, where she received offerings during New Year's celebrations. In offering lists of this area, she appears alongside Inanna of Larsa. Okay. The goddess Inanna, so she appears alongside her, and it is possible that her presence in the Sealand pantheon was the result of continuation of the traditions of the city. Only a single theophoric name attesting the worship of Manzat is present in known Sealand documents. Worship of Manzat is also attested in sources from Nippur between the Old Babylonian and Middle Babylonian periods, a sanctuary dedicated to her was located in that city, though its name is presently unknown. Two additional evidence from the Kassite period includes two theophoric names. According to a topographical text, 4 shrines dedicated to Manzat existed in Babylon. A temple bearing the name Tirana, which means House of the Rainbow, existed in Kesh. It's a nice name for a temple, for a goddess's temple. Now, Kesh was one of 2 cult centers for the mother goddess Ninhursag. She was this old ancient Sumerian mother goddess of the mountains. In the late 2nd or 3rd millennium BC, Manzat was also worshipped in the city of Dur, as attested in a late hymn to the goddess Nanaya. Now, Dur was located like on the border between ancient Sumer and ancient Elam. So the hymn to Nanaya lists Manzat among the city goddesses and spouses of city gods, alongside the likes of Shala from Karkar, Bau from Kish, and Ishtar from Uruk. In the Weidner god list, Manzat or Tirana appears in the proximity of Shiram, the deification of the red sky at morning, and Mahidana, the personification of the morning star, believed to be an alternative name of the deity Kabta. That's kind of an obscure deity, Kabta. But we will go over them soon. That deity soon. In the Nippur god list, she belongs to the group of deities associated with the grain goddess, the goddess Nisaba. Now, Nisaba is a goddess associated with both the scribal arts, like writing, and also grain, similar to Shala. She also appears in a god list known from Mari, though presumed to originate in southern Mesopotamia, in which she is placed between the medicine goddess Nintenuga and Mamu, a dream deity. She and Mamu appear next to each other due to either acrography or homophony of their names. Okay. Actually not sure what those 2 words mean. Another Western document mentioning her is a Hurrian god list from Emar, which explains the name Tirana as Kashte, the Hurrian word bow. Okay. Interesting. So, in Elam, Manzat appears for the first time in Naram Sin's treaty with an unknown monarch, though it is commonly assumed that she should be regarded as an Akkadian deity in this case. References to the worship of Manzat are known chiefly from the Elamite lowlands, especially Susa and its surroundings. Similarly, as in the case of deities such as Lagamal, Pinakir, and Adad and Shala. The sites of Dei Now and Tepe Horii in particular were closely associated with her. It is possible she was regarded as the city goddess in these locations. Based on epigraphic evidence, it has been proposed that the Elamite city corresponding to modern Dei now, what a name, was known as Hubshen in antiquity. Elamite king Igi Halki restored an old Elamite high temple of Manzat in Dei now, and left behind an inscription written in Akkadian, according to which Manzat Ishtar gave him kingship over Susa and Anshan, Elamite cities there, well, locations. So kind of a double deity there, right? Interesting. That wonder if they were ever. I wonder if that ever shows up in other texts as well. There any association with each other, the goddesses Manzat and Ishtar. I think that might have been might be the first time I've seen this. That Shatruk Nahunti claimed that he repaired a temple in this location built by his predecessors. The same king also built a temple dedicated to her and an enigmatic deity designated by the logogram Nin.dar.ah. So Nindara, the deity Nindara, in Tape Horii, stating in his inscriptions that he hopes the invoked deity, presumably Manzat, will make the land of Hubshen happy. Kutir, the king Kutir Nahunti, likewise renovated a temple of Manzat in Hubshen, presumably the same one as his predecessors. A further location associated with Manzat was Pishane, mentioned in a text from Susa. According to inscriptions of kings Shutruk Nahunti and Hutelu Tush in Shushanak, sites of worship of Manzat and Simat treated as a pair existed in Susa itself. Theophoric names invoking her are also attested in texts from Haft Tepe, which might correspond to ancient Kabnak. Kabnak is it's a site situated in Khuzestan province, southwestern Iran. Could be the possible remains of the Elamite city of Kabnak there at the site. Inscriptions of Untash Napirisha state that he built a temple of Manzat, referred to with the epithet Lady of the Sian Kuk, which means sacred precinct, in Choga Zanbil. Belet Ali was worshipped in the same location alongside Simat. A Sian Husami, which is Elamite for temple in a grove, dedicated to Manzat, is also attested. And on this basis, it has been argued that such sanctuaries had no funerary function, contrary to a common assumption in scholarship based on the existence of Sian Husami, dedicated to underworld deities such as in Shushanak and Lagamal. No attestations of Manzat from Elam are more recent than 1050 BC. That is interesting. Is that true? Which might indicate that she was no longer worshipped there. Oh, I see. I see. I misrepresented that. More recent. So that was like the latest we hear of Manzat? Oh. Which might indicate that she was no longer worshipped there in the first millennium BC, or that she only appears under a presently unidentified alternative name. Okay, well, that is getting late though, because that's happens with a lot of deities, transitioning from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age. I mean, it's like 1000 BC. That era was like a transition era where a lot of deities start to disappear, I think. But like it says here, some deities, were still worshipped under alternative names. There is some evidence that in Mesopotamia, Manzat was viewed as the wife of the god Ishtaran, the guardian god of the city of Dur. But it is a late theological text, the source documentation for this. Well, well, okay. I wonder if there's a connection then between the deity Ishtaran and her spouse Semat. I don't know. In Elamite sources, Manzat often appears side by side with the god Semat, a deity known as the Herald of the Gods and associated with the planet Mars, and in Mesopotamia, by extension, with Nergal. It is a common assumption in scholarship that they were regarded as a couple. In inscriptions from Dei Now, Manzat appears with the deity Nin.dar.a. So Nindara. Looks like there's some uncertainty whether Nindara is a goddess or a god. But it's possible that he was identified with Semat. The name Nindara or Nindar originally belonged to a male Mesopotamian deity, the husband of the goddess Nanshi, the Sumerian goddess Nanshi, who was worshipped in Lagash, Gersu, and Kiesa. It is uncertain if Nergal of Hubshen and the goddess Aya of Hubshen, known from Assyrian sources, are related to Nindara and Manzat, also associated with this location. I wonder if Nergal of Hubshen would just be another name for Semat. Aya of Hubshen, I don't know that one. I mean, Aya, of course, is the consort, though, for the sun god Shamash. I don't know who the Elamite sun god's consort would be. That his name is Nahante. Okay, we're almost finished. In the Mesopotamian god list, An equals Anum, Manzat appears without a husband, though an otherwise unknown son, Lugal Gita, as well as a attendant deity, Sililitum, are assigned to her. Interesting. I thought I've heard of Lugal Gita before. Only one known copy of the list preserves the lines mentioning these deities, so a degree of textual corruption cannot be ruled out. Lugal Gita's name is Sumerian, while Sililitum's is likely Semitic in origin. Sililitum was a female deity, so goddess, as indicated by the label Sukal, which means which is a vizier. It's a Munis Sukal, that's a female vizier or attendant deity, like a servant, attendant, messenger style deity. That's what vizier means. She shared her name with the 10th month in the local calendar of Susa, and according to Lambert, with a type of bird, Sinu Nutu. The possibility that Sililitum was related to Silili, a deity known exclusively from a single passage in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Oh, that's interesting. Has been deemed unlikely. Occasionally, an association between Manzat and Ishtar is proposed in scholarship, usually based on the fact that Tirana is a late writing of the name of Uruk, but there's no strong evidence in favor of this theory. Let's see here. The occurrence of Manzat Ishtar in the Igi Halki inscription from Dei now is also not an indication of syncretism, and this name should be understood as the goddess Manzat. Oh, okay. Well, that's true, too. The use of Ishtar or Ishtaram as a common noun, which could refer to any goddess, a synonym of Iltum, the female form of Ilu or god, goes back to the Old Babylonian period. That is true. That is true. To differentiate it from the name Ishtar, it was consistently written without the so-called divine determinative. An example can be found in the brief description of Ishara, the goddess Ishara in Atrahasis. That's an Akkadian epic text. We'll go over like texts and hymns too. I'm not just going to go over like different deities. I'm going to do other things as well. So deities, going to go over different deities from the ancient Near East as well as different texts, myths, stories, hymns, all that good stuff. Astrological texts. But let's finish up the last two sentences here, and then we'll finish up the video. In a single Maklu incantation, now Maklu means burning. It's a series of Akkadian incantation texts concerning the performance of, well, we'll get into that in another video. But in a single Maklu incantation, Manzat is described as the sister of the Mesopotamian sun god Shamash, and by extension as daughter of his parents, Ningal and Sin. In a single Assyrian god list, Manzat's epithets were reassigned to Ninhursag. That's interesting. It's argued that due to their similar role in international treaties, such as the Treaty of Naram Sin, Manzat can be compared to Ninkarak. I don't know. But that ends our video on the goddess Manzat. So, very interesting deity here. Like I said, it's kind of uncertain whether she originated from the Elamites or from Mesopotamia somewhere. I always thought she originated from the Elamite area, but it's really it's kind of uncertain, I guess. And that'll do it. So let me know your thoughts on the goddess Manzat below, and I will be back with more deity description videos here shortly. Hope you find these videos interesting. And as I said, I'm going to do deity description videos, and I want to do like other things too, like specific texts, videos of specific like texts, like myths and stories from the ancient Near East as well. So that will end the video. Hope you found it interesting. Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll be back with more shortly.